Today, we're going to pull back the curtain on the hidden world of your shopping habits. We're breaking down the pretty complex psychological science that brands use to influence what ends up in your cart, whether you're clicking add to cart online or grabbing something off a shelf.
So, have you ever gotten home, looked at something you just bought, and had that little voice in your head go, "Why on earth did I buy that?" Yeah? Well, if you have, you are definitely not alone. It turns out a lot of our shopping choices aren't really driven by logic at all, but by these really powerful psychological forces that are working just under the surface.
And this really shows you the fundamental shift that's happened in marketing. It's not about just giving you a list of reasons why a product is good anymore. Nope. Modern marketing has evolved into this really sophisticated game of targeting our subconscious, aiming to tap right into our deepest desires and maybe even our fears.
So let's dive into the first major tactic, appealing directly to your heart. This is where we see how brands have kind of moved beyond selling simple products. They're in the business of selling you a whole new identity.
And the secret sauce behind all this? It's a concept called neuromarketing. Basically, it's a strategy designed to completely bypass our logical, critical thinking and hit us right in the feels. So instead of listing features, marketers are trying to create a feeling, a connection that makes you feel like you just have to have what they're selling.
This quote just nails it. I mean, think about a commercial for some fancy luxury car. They almost never talk about the gas mileage or the engine specs, right? Instead, the ad feels way more like a mini-movie about freedom, success, and status.
So here's the really crucial point. They aren't just selling you 4 wheels and an engine. They're selling you the idea of being the kind of person who drives that car. The best defense you have here is to separate the product from the promise. Just ask yourself, do I actually need the thing itself, or am I just kind of buying into the identity it's trying to sell me?
But, it's not just about playing on your emotions. Marketers are now actively trying to predict your next move. And this brings us to our second tactic, using data to know what you want, sometimes even before you do.
Every single time you go online, you're leaving behind a trail of what you could call digital breadcrumbs. And these algorithms, they're everywhere, living in the digital spaces we visit, tracking our clicks, our searches, our likes, with what the source material calls frightening precision.
Let me give you a super simple, everyday example of how this works. Say you search for a new pair of running shoes. That one little action tells an algorithm you're probably into fitness. And then, suddenly, ads for sports clothes, gym memberships, and health supplements start popping up all over your social media and every website you visit. They literally follow you around the internet.
Now, for advertisers, this is amazing, right? It's incredibly effective. They can put their money only in front of people who are already interested. But it does raise a huge ethical question. At what point does efficient advertising just become a full-blown invasion of our privacy? For us, the big takeaway is to just remember that your online activity is creating this personalized ad bubble all around you. And just knowing why you're seeing an ad is the first step to deciding if it's actually relevant to you. All right, so they've targeted your emotions, they've tracked your data. What's next? Well, forcing your hand. This next tactic is all about creating artificial pressure to make you act right now, using the power of urgency.
I am almost positive you have seen this exact phrase a million times. You're browsing a website and a little red warning pops up. Only 2 items left in stock, or sale ends in 10 minutes. This is not an accident. It is a very deliberate tactic.
Psychologically, this triggers a really powerful response in our brains known as FOMO, or the fear of missing out. This feeling of urgency is designed to stop us from thinking it over. It kind of robs us of our ability to think critically and pushes us to buy stuff we might not even really need.
Now, there's a more subtle form of pressure, and that comes from appealing to our values. By championing social and environmental causes, brands can position themselves as the ethical choice, and that attracts consumers, especially younger ones, who really want their spending to reflect their beliefs.
But this is where you need a critical eye. Is a company's campaign for a social cause a sign of real, genuine commitment, or is it just greenwashing? A marketing ploy to look ethical without actually making any real changes. The simplest defense against all this pressure, whether it's from a ticking clock or a social campaign, is to just create some distance. Step away for an hour. If you still want it then, you know the decision is truly yours.
So after hearing about all these tactics, it can feel like we're just puppets on a string, right? But this final section is all about taking back control. It's about how we can arm ourselves with this knowledge and become much more conscious consumers.
I mean, let's be real. We can't completely escape the influence of marketing. It is everywhere in modern life. But the key here is that we can resist the impulse to just consume mindlessly. And the first and most important step is simply to approach all of it with a healthy dose of skepticism.
So, here's a mental checklist for you to use the next time you feel that urge to buy something. Just pause for a second and ask yourself, is this ad targeting an emotion? Am I seeing this just because of my search history? Is this limited offer thing designed to make me panic buy? And is this brand's ethical stance really legit, or is it just for show? Just being aware is your absolute best defense. And all of this brings us to one final really powerful question to ask yourself. Before you click checkout, before you walk up to the register, just take one moment and ask, does this product truly suit my needs? Or am I simply obeying a command that was written just for me by some beautifully crafted big data? Ultimately, that little bit of awareness can put all the power right back where it belongs, in your hands.